Hi guys, welcome to BYAOKO channel. My name is BYAOKO. So today I'm going to show you how to crochet this chunky cardigan, and don't mind my model, she's a little bit shy. So this is a very chunky sweater and it works up so fast. So the trick is using a chunky yarn and you'll be done in no time. And I used 6 balls of the chunky cake yarn. And the good thing with this cardigan, you can actually button it and then it's going to snatch on your waist, so you can also open it up and show your outfit. So if this is something that interests you, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch this video until the end. So let's get started. So for the yarn, you will need a chunky yarn, and my yarn is 200 grams to 57 meters, and I used 7mm crochet hook to match it. You also need buttons, you need measuring tape, and you need a darning needle and scissor. So for the pattern, we are going to use slip stitch on the down part and moss stitch on the upper part. You also need to know the measurements of the cardigan you're making, so that is the height of the cardigan and also the bust measurements of the cardigan. With those measurements, it's going to be easy for you to get like an exact size that you need. So the first step is to create the band on the waist, and this pattern is super stretchy when you use the slip stitch method. I made a height of 7 inches, but you can make it longer or shorter depending on how you need it to be. And it's also important for you to note that this pattern shrinks, so it's important to give an allowance of 1 inch. So I've already made my size, so I'm just going to do a small sample for you guys to see how to go about it. And I'm only going to start with a chain of 10 stitches, but for this actual band I did 17 stitches. So start by making a slip knot, and for this pattern I'm only going to chain 10, and make sure you chain your stitches loosely to enable you go through the back stitches. And then in the second chain from the hook, you're going to make your first slip stitch, and then you're going to go ahead and make slip stitch in each and every stitch until the end of the chain. So to start off the next row, you're going to chain 1 and turn, and in the first stitch you're going to go through loops. Remember, this pattern we are making it through the back loop, but in the first stitch you're going to go through both loops to avoid those openings at the end of the row. And then now go ahead and make slip stitch through the back loop, and then at the end of the row you're also going to go through both loops. So this is to enable you not have the holes at the end of the row. So in the next stitch you're going to chain 1 and turn. In the first stitch, go through both loops and make a stitch. The rest of the stitches go through back loop, and then at the end of the row you're going to go through both loop, and you're going to repeat this over and over again until you get your desired size of the band. So now I have my desired waist size, and if I measure this, it's 24 inches, but when I stretch it, it can go up to, let me just do that, it can go up to 33 inches, so it's super elastic. So now once you have the waistband, now the next thing we're going to do is start working on the upper part. So now we're going to start working on the upper part, and I would love to create kind of a baggy effect on the bust area, and this is how we're going to go about it. So we're going to make single crochet, and at some point, like in the third stitch, you're going to make an increase. So in the first row, make your first single crochet. In the second row, make another 1 single crochet, and then in the third row over here we're going to place 2 single crochets to form an increase. So how you increase all depends with how baggy you want it to be around your bust. If you want it to be extra baggy, then I would suggest that you increase in the second stitch. So I'm going to make single crochet, 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then in the third stitch form an increase by making 2 single crochet in the same stitch. Repeat this until you complete working on the band. I'm done with my first row of single crochets, and this is how my work looks like. So to start off the next row, you're going to chain 1 and turn, and in the first single crochet stitch make a single crochet, and then chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next one, chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next one, and you're going to repeat this until the end of the row. Simply you're alternating single crochet with a chain 1 stitch. At the end of the row, so it's a chain 1 and then make your final single crochet in the last stitch. Make sure your last stitch ends with a single crochet. To start off the next row, you're going to chain 2 and turn. So the chain 2 will count as a single crochet, will count as a stitch, sorry, and now you're going to skip the single crochet over here because the chain 2 will be on top of it. And now where you have the chain 1 space, this is where you're going to place your first single crochet, and then chain 1, skip the single crochet stitch where you have the chain 1 space, place your single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, repeat this until the end of the row. So almost at the end of the row, it's a chain 1 for me, and then 1 single crochet in the chain 1 space, and then you remember the chain 2 stitches that we created, so we're going to go in between that. So chain 1 and complete your row by making a single crochet inside that chain 2 that you created at the starting of the row. To start off the next row, you're going to chain 2, it counts as a stitch, and then turn. You're going to skip the single crochet, which is this one, and then in the chain 1 space you're going to place your first single crochet over there, chain 1, where you have the chain 1 space, create a single crochet, and you're going to repeat this until the end of the row. At the end of the row again, so it's a chain 1, and where you have the chain 2 space, you're going to place your last single crochet over there. So you're going to repeat this, continue building the height of your cardigan, and then I'm going to show you what to do next. So now here I am, and at this point where I am now, it will be under my armpit, and I have 11 inches. So if you need your cardigan to be longer, you can continue increasing the height of this part, but if you feel that where you are can at least rest below your armpit, then you're good to go to start shaping your cardigan. So now divide it into 2 and mark the sides where the armpit is going to be with a stitch marker. So now we're going to work on the front panel in straight line, and you're going to stop at 1 stitch away from the middle point that will rest on the armpit area where you marked. And basically we're just going to use the same pattern working in straight line, building the front panel, and then also we're going to use the same technique of the straight line, and then you're going to work on the back panel. So now you're just going to chain 2 and turn your work, and in the chain 1 space make the stitch. So continue building the front part, and then it will reach a point where we're going to start decreasing it to form the V shape. So this is how I have worked on the front panel before decreasing. I'm going to show you how to decrease the front part to form the V shape. Now I'm going to go ahead and work on the back panel. So just attach your yarn and work in straight line, and for the back panel you're just going to work in straight line until it reaches a point where it rests on your shoulder. So once it rests on your shoulder and you're comfortable with the height, you're going to stop there, and then now come I show you how to decrease the V-neck of the front panel. So now let's decrease the front part to create the V-stitch, and before you make the final stitch, which is the last single crochet in that chain 2 space, you're going to stop there, don't make a stitch over there, then chain 1 and turn, and then in the next chain 1 space create a stitch, chain 1 and continue with the pattern until the end of the row. And then at the end of the row, which is over here where the armpit lies, sorry, you're just going to work in straight line. There's no decrease on that side. Now chain 2 and turn. Where you have the chain 1 space, make a single crochet, chain 1. Then when you get at the end of the row, where the front part where you are making a decrease, you're going to skip the last stitch, which is the chain 2 space, and then chain 1 and turn. So this is basically how you're going to decrease your work. So basically you're also going to do this onto the other side, and if you put your work like that, it's actually decreased. So once you've decreased your work, the next step is to bind the shoulder of the back panel and the front panel, and this is how you're going to go about it. Chain 1 and turn onto the other side, and in the first stitch you're going to place a single crochet like that, and then turn onto this other side where you have the chain 1 space, you're going to place a single crochet, turn onto the other side where you have chain 1 space, place a single crochet, and you'll keep on alternating that until you bind the shoulder. And that's pretty much it for the binding. Once you're done, cut your yarn and tighten it off. So that will be the wrong side and the other side will be the right side. Okay, so now make sure also another thing to consider, that you have enough armhole for your cardigan, so put that into consideration. So now the next step is to work on the sleeves, and then we are going to attach our sleeves onto this armhole. So for the sleeve, it's important that the stitches you've made all around will be able to match on the armhole of the body part, and so 2 stitches on the sleeve over here will be attached to 1 stitch of the armhole of the body part. Anyway, you're going to understand that when we are working on it. And also our sleeves has that ribbing on the wrist, so we're going to make that first and then I show you how to create the puffy sleeve. So here we are, I've already made the wrist part with the stretchy pattern of the slip stitch. And so basically this is how you're going to create the puffiness. So chain 1, and per row you're going to place 2 single crochet stitches. So in that first row, place 2 single crochet like that. In the next row, place 2 single crochet stitches, and this will create that puffiness effect. So at the end of the row, you'll be able to have something like this, and at this point now we're going to start increasing our work so that it can increase the size of the sleeves. So to form an increase, you're going to chain 2 and turn. Normally the chain 2 would count as a stitch and the next stitch will be in the chain 1 space, but to form an increase you're going to make single crochet in the first single crochet stitch. So this will form an increase, and then chain 1 and then go now into the chain 1 space, chain 1 and go into the next chain 1 space, and repeat this until the end of the row. Also please note that the increase is only made at the starting point of the row. So to start off the next row, we're going to chain 2 and turn. Now the chain 2 will count as a stitch and the next stitch will be made in the chain 1 space, but now since we are increasing our work, you are going to place your first single crochet inside the first single crochet stitch, exactly how I'm doing it in the video, then chain 1, and the next stitch is going to be placed in the chain 1 space. So now continue repeating this And then when you get at the end of the row, after chaining 1, make a single crochet and then chain 1, and then place your final stitch in the chain 2 space. So at the end of the row, we are not making any increase, so the increase is only at the start of the row. I have increased my work, so now I'm going to start working in straight line. I already have the size that will fit my armhole. So now basically now you're just going to work in straight line by chaining 2. Do not increase. So now for the increase, you'll make your first single crochet over here. Now you're going to skip it because the chain 2 is a stitch, and now into the chain 1 space, make a double single crochet, chain 1, and continue with the pattern. At the end of the row, finish by making 1 single crochet in the chain 2 space, chain 2, and turn. Now continue building the height of your sleeve until you get your desired height, and then I'm going to show you how to attach your sleeve onto the body part. So I have my desired length for the sleeves, and it's around 14 inches. So you can make this longer, you can make it shorter depending on how you want it to be. So now the next step is to fix the sleeve onto this armhole. So time to fix the sleeves onto the armhole of the body part, and we're going to fix this on the wrong side. So now take your yarn and your hook and locate the middle point where the armhole is and create a single crochet. Now we're going to attach these two sides using a single crochet. So inside the next row of the body part, make a single crochet, turn over onto the other side where you have the chain 1 space and make a single crochet. Turn onto the other side in the next row, make a single crochet onto the other side where you have the chain 1 space, make a single crochet. So the trick is you are only making a single crochet in the chain 1 space, and that means that you are skipping the single crochet stitch. So that's why I was saying that 2 stitches of the sleeves will be attached to 1 row of the other side. So once you are done attaching the sleeve onto the body part, now you're going to close up the sleeves using a single crochet method. So basically per row, the row of this other side, insert your hook, pass it on the row of the other side and make a single crochet, and then you're going to bind this all the way down. And for the wrist part, we're going to work through the back loop. So the back loop of the other side and the back loop of the other side, make now a slip stitch to join. So go through the back loop of the other side and the back loop of the other side, and then make a slip stitch. So continue to join until the end. And then once done, turn your work, and that is how it looks like. That is how the sleeves look like. So now go ahead and repeat the same onto the other side. So far this is what we have. So the final step is to bind the opening area, and then also we're going to fix the buttons, and that's it. So to bind, you're going to attach your yarn on the down part, and now we're going to make single crochet. So through the back loop, you're going to create single crochet in each and every stitch, and we're going to bind this all around, even through the neck. And then on the body part per row, you're going to place 1 single crochet in every row. And then when you get to the point where you started decreasing in that first stitch, you're going to place 1 single crochet, chain 1, and then 1 single crochet in the same place to make it steep, and then per every row you're going to place 1 single crochet. Repeat this until you get through the neck and all the way down. So the first row done, now we're going to repeat the second row, and you're going to chain 1 and turn your work, and then you're going to make single crochet through both loops. And then when we get to the other side, we're going to start creating the loops whereby you're going to, so we're going to fix the buttons on the left side, and then now on the right side we're going to start creating the loops or the holes meant for the buttons. So make sure you measure it with the button that you have to ensure that it can pass through that. So after creating the holes, now you're going to chain 1 and turn, and now make 1 single row of the single crochet stitches just to smoothen everything. And then the final step is sewing in the buttons and weaving in your ends, and your cardigan is done. So thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you share this, like it, leave a comment down below, and see you in my next video. Goodbye.